Pam Bondi asked about the Epstein files. She said, the Epstein files are on my desk.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients? Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I'm reviewing JFK files, MLK files. That's all in the process of being reviewed because that was done at the directive of the president from all of these agencies.
So have you seen anything that you said, oh my gosh?
Not yet.
Some people think that one way to build trust is to declassify things that everyone's talking about. I know you just talked earlier about, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist. So if you were president, would you declassify, you can answer yes or no to these, would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah. I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think I would, or at least
Do you think that would restore trust? Help restore trust?
Yeah, I don't know about Epstein so much as I do the others. Certainly about the way he died. It would be interesting to find out what happened there because that was a weird situation and the cameras didn't happen to be working, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I'd go a long way toward that one.
We have to talk about the story that everyone is talking about. This broke yesterday evening. There is no Epstein client list, according to the DOJ. There's no list. There's no list. Nothing to talk about. Didn't traffic anyone. I don't know what you guys are talking about. He didn't bribe anyone, guys. Nothing wrong at all. Even though the Trump administration decided to use this stupid photo op with these influencers to try to tell all of you that we're rolling out the Epstein files. No one believes this. No one. Not one single person believes this. There's plenty of people out there, not many though, but there's some mega influencers that just will not criticize President Trump at all. They just won't do it. They won't criticize the Trump administration. And the bottom line is, we can sit there and say Pam Bondi is at fault, and that's fine. I do think she is at fault, but it doesn't mean that Trump is not responsible for all of this, because he absolutely is. Trump, it has to go to the leader, and this falls right directly at the feet of President Trump. Absolutely. Like, yes, Bondi sucks. We know that. But you can't sit there and act like Trump doesn't have responsibility in this. You just can't do it. It's absolutely insane to act like Trump doesn't have any responsibility into this. I want to be clear, okay, for the panicans out there. I'm not almost there for you, okay? I'm not finally almost seeing it, okay? I'm simply criticizing, and it's a big criticism of Donald Trump. That's it. Because I, unlike you weak-minded betas, I can actually criticize President Trump and still support him because I'm not a single-issue loser libertarian voter, okay? So I want to go ahead and clean that up right now before you're thinking, he's almost there, guys. He's almost on our side. I'm not almost on your side. Go fuck yourself. The bottom line is that normal, everyday people know how to criticize things that they disagree with without jumping ship. Okay, it's that simple. And I'm very critical of this. And this is not a minor issue. This is not a minor issue. This is a major, major problem. Don't let anyone minimize what's going on right now. This is a major issue, and we cannot allow this to go away. We can't. Right here. This is less than an hour ago. Okay, less than an hour ago, right here. Charlie Kirk. The conservative movement needs to focus more energy, energy, and focus on how Islam is rapidly taking over the West. Not today, Charlie Kirk, okay? Not today. You want to sit there and shift this conversation? No, that is not the conversation today. That's a bigger conversation that we need to have. But don't act like people being pissed off about this Epstein thing need to stop complaining about that and focus on this. We've been focusing on this radical Islam problem for a long time, and that's totally fine. But today, with the news that they're trying to shut down the Epstein files and the discussion, no, we're not shifting the conversation away from that. We're just not doing it. It's absolutely insane, dude. It's absolutely ridiculous. And, it's not happening. And let's listen to what Pam Bondi had to say. I think they say earlier this year.
I want to know why AG Garland and the Justice Department are so quiet on this tonight. They're out there labeling parents domestic terrorists, yet they're saying nothing about this. And these documents were so slow to come out. Human trafficking is a multi-billion-dollar business in this country, and Jeffrey Epstein is dead, and Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison for 20 years where she belongs. And if people in that report are still fighting to keep their names private, Sean, they have no legal basis to do so unless they're a child, a victim, or a cooperating defendant by some chance against some potential case against Ghislaine Maxwell. And I think Mark Garagos, as a great criminal defense attorney, will back that up as well.
What a disaster. What a complete and total disaster. And if you want to, and here's what I love, okay? Here's what I love, all right? So I had some strong MAGA supporters yesterday go, hey, Jeremy, how do you know more than what the people involved with the situation know? Because I called out this and I said, this is a disaster. You can't defend this. And I had hardcore MAGA people going, how do you know, Jeremy? You're not on the inside. You're not on the inside. How do you have more information? Well, I would pose that question to Kash Patel, who before becoming the FBI director said this.
It's the same thing with Epstein's list. It's like, what the hell are these Republicans doing? Oh,
I saw you
give out the list.
I saw you make news this morning about that. I got to get to that.
Yeah.
You say that the FBI has Epstein's list. They're sitting on it. That doesn't seem like something you should do. You're protecting the world's foremost predator. That seems like,
well, how would Kash Patel know what's going on, guys? He's just on the edge. You're telling me Kash Patel knows more than the people in power? How would Kash Patel have this information?
an evil thing to do, regardless of who may be embarrassed in the release of that list. Why is the FBI protecting the greatest pederast, the largest scale pederast in human history?
Simple, because of who's on that list. You don't think that Bill Gates is lobbying Congress night and day to prevent the disclosure of that list? And why is it that the Senate, you know, and good for Senator Blackburn to try to get it out, but then Dick Durbin comes over the top and says, no, we're not going to release the names. I don't care about the list itself, but if you release the names, right? What the hell are the House Republicans doing? They have the majority. You can't get the list? You're going to accept Dick Durbin's word or whoever that guy is as to who is on that list and who isn't, and that it can and can't be released? Put on your big boy pants and let us know who the pedophiles are. We have an election coming up. Put on your big boy pants and let us know who the pedophiles are. We have an election coming up, and we need to adjudicate this matter at the polls. God knows the FBI and DOJ aren't going to do anything. But how are you going to reward the FBI with a new headquarters building after their illegal surveillance on Donald Trump continues with a reauthorization of FISA, and we can't even get basic documents out? This is why America hates Congress. And this is why I'm tired of the Republican majority saying they're going to get the job done and failing.
This is so bad. This is impossible to defend. Impossible to defend. Why would he kill himself if he didn't have a client list? Why would he kill himself if there were no victims? Why would he kill himself if he wasn't bribing people? Why would he kill himself? None of this makes sense. None of this makes sense. None of this adds up. This is absolutely ridiculous. And on top of that, why is one, first of all, we were told there were no videos. Now they've released footage of the videos that they said didn't exist. Yet now the videos that didn't exist, there's a minute missing from the video. Why is a full minute missing from the video? The White House press secretary today had a briefing, and Peter Doocy actually grilled her on this, and her answer was bad.
The DOJ and FBI have now concluded there was no Jeffrey Epstein client list. What do you tell MAGA supporters who say they want anyone involved in Jeffrey Epstein's alleged crimes to be held accountable?
This administration wants anyone who has ever committed a crime to be held accountable. And I would argue this administration has done more to lock up bad guys than certainly the previous administration. And the Trump administration is committed to truth and to transparency. That's why the Attorney General and the FBI Director pledged at the president's direction to do an exhaustive review of all of the files related to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes and his death. And they put out a memo in conclusion of that review. There was material they did not release because, frankly, it was incredibly graphic and it contained child pornography, which is not something that's appropriate for public consumption. But they committed to an exhaustive investigation. That's what they did, and they provided the results of that. That's transparency.
Follow up on that,
Sure.
Caroline. Okay, so the FBI
Now,
looks at the search.
thank goodness for Peter Ducey to come in here. He really did. Like he had some really good follow-up questions. So let me say, so I listened to this entire White House press briefing, and I think Caroline Leavitt has been phenomenal in this role. I don't think that you can be honest. You're not being honest if you don't say she didn't seem uncomfortable from the moment that this briefing started until it ended. She seemed rattled and very uncomfortable. I don't know how many of you watched it all, but she did not seem like she wanted to be there. She's normally confident and cool and collected, and she was not today. She did not seem like she wanted to be there at all, in my opinion.
Circumstances surrounding the death of Jeffrey Epstein. According to the report, this systematic review revealed no incriminating client list. So what happened to the Epstein client list that the Attorney General said she had on her desk?
Well, I think if you go back and look at what the Attorney General said in that interview, which was on your network on Fox
I've
News.
got the quote.
Go ahead.
John Roberts said, DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen? And she said, it's sitting on my desk right now to review.
Yes, she was
What?
saying the entirety of all of the paperwork, all of the paper in relation to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. That's what the Attorney General was referring to, and I'll let her speak for that. But again, when it comes to the FBI and the Department of Justice, they are more than committed to ensuring that bad people are put behind bars. They have an operation going on right now called Summer Heat, which has our murder rate trending in the lowest direction in United States history. Their emphasis
Thank you, Harley.
on violent crime and locking up violent criminals has led to the arrest of 14,000 violent criminals. That's a 62% increase from the same time period last year. So this Attorney General and the FBI Director are committed to putting bad people behind bars where they belong. That they promised an exhaustive review. That's what they did. For any further details, I would refer you to the Department of Justice.
So this was a horrifically bad answer. I don't necessarily blame Caroline Leavitt for this, by the way. I think she's in a really tough situation, so I don't necessarily blame her, but it was not a good answer. It was not a good answer. There was no good answer probably for her at that point in time. Oh, wait, there's more. We're not done yet, ladies and gentlemen, because there's more. There's more. Do you remember this clip right here on the Piers Morgan show? Here's Alina Habba. Just want to state for the record, Alina Habba has a great personality. Here we go.
But in this case, in Epstein's case, it is incredibly disturbing. We have flight logs, we have information, names that will come out.
Is it going to be shocking?
I don't see how it's not shocking that there were so many individuals that were hidden and kept secret and not been held accountable. Let's talk about the reverse. I believe in accountability. So you have to now go through your process. Now, I won't say they're guilty until they go through their time in court. But again, now it's time for accountability. We have seen for so many years, Pierce, in this country, many investigations, subpoenas, testimonies in Congress, et cetera, et cetera. But there's a general frustration with accountability. We take it halfway, we don't take it home. And I really believe that now with Cash and Pam, there will be accountability. But in this case, in Epstein's case, it is.
Yeah. 10 minutes ago, Trump sent this out. The FBI, under direction of Kash Patel and Deputy Director Dan Bongino, is back to basics, locking up criminals and cleaning up America's streets. We have the greatest law enforcement professionals in the world, but politics and corrupt leadership often prevented them from doing their job. That is no longer the case, and now they have been unleashed to do their jobs, and they are doing just that. Holy shit. 10 minutes ago, even on True Social, people are calling him out. Even on True Social, he's getting people going after him over this. Holy crap. If True Social comments are calling him out, it's bad. It's very bad. That is a bad move. Bad move. And by the way, I know a lot of people are saying Trump's on the list. Trump's not on the list, so that's nonsense. He's not on the list. He might be on the flight list because he did business with it, but he's not on the actual list. He's just not. So, but what's interesting is I don't even hear the Democrats talking about this. Not even the Democrats are bringing this up. The Democrats will go after Trump on anything and everything. And I don't even hear the Democrats talking about this right now, which is huge and expected. Listen, man, this is going to be a trying time for a lot of MAGA supporters. And I think that criticizing the Trump administration is absolutely necessary right now. I don't think it's justified. I think it's necessary to criticize the Trump administration. They need to be held accountable for this. The people want answers. And I don't think we should back down one bit. I think we should hold the line on this, because this is a very, 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 very big problem and a huge issue. And it's not even about is the criticism justified. I think the criticism is necessary.